How's it going, guys? It's Nutshell here, and today we're talking about the recent armor changes that have come into Tarkov and which armor you should be using on your PMC, especially if you're playing at PvE. This will be focused around just getting yourself the best armor possible, and if you're playing PvP, you'll have an understanding of which armors you can get and which armors you should be thinking about when deciding what you're going to choose for your armor as you go through. But before we start this video, if you do enjoy Tarkov and you want to see some content surrounding both PvP and PvE, then make sure to subscribe down below, as the channel is drastically grown and I am shocked at how fast it has done so. So thank you very much to everyone that has already, and let's get back into the video. So the first thing that I want to talk about is, of course, the armor areas. This is one of the biggest things, at least with the changes that we've seen, is that with regards to things like the slick that cover basically the front and back plate and basically nothing else, you'll find that because of the armor changes now, it's been generalized so that the smaller hitbox or areas whereby you're covered by your armor model is now expanded to a point where it becomes much more boxier. And so if you have lots of different armor areas, you will be more covered than what you will see if you've only got a couple of armor areas. It's pretty self-explanatory, and I feel like most people understand this, at least to a decent degree. And then you combine it with a good armor class of the actual armor alongside the best plates that you can, and you can end up with some really crazy armor that will save your life in a lot of situations. So in terms of what I use typically, at least on the PvE mode, and because I've just got basically infinite money at this point, we can use whatever armor we want, and there's a variety of different armors that are useful. Now, to kind of give you the point of something like the slick, you can see that there are no side plates on this, at least this armor. And although the front armor plates of this are that you've got level 6 plates, and of course even if you take out the plates, which unfortunately we can't do, I guess if we grab it and drag it out we can see it in a bit more detail. And if I grab it and then take out the level 6 plates, it's still level 6 armor. So it's very good if you get hit in the front. But of course the armor areas on the slick are the front and back plate, which means that anything that is hitting you in the side is basically not covered by the armor. So if you get hit whilst you're running to a destination from a direction that you're not either directly from or to, then you are going to get pumped with something like this. So although this used to be one of the best armors in the game, it certainly isn't anymore. But with the armor changes, the key thing that you need to be thinking about now is, are you going to be able to either use side plates, which are very useful, as well as also what is the class of armor to begin with on that armor that you're using, as well as the armor areas that your armor is covering. And so with, for example, the Corand, which is probably one of the best armors, at least as it currently stands in the game, it gives you stomach, thorax, lower back, upper back, left, right sides, throat, you've got the back of the neck, the groin, the buttocks, the front plate, back plate, left plate and right plate, of course being super good. And this is one of the reasons why using a armor that covers as much of you as possible is going to really save your life, especially ones that cover the neck area, as you can often get one tapped in the neck. And of course you don't want that happening when you're playing in Tarkov. The less that you're just getting one tap, the more fights that you will generally win, especially if other people aren't using armors like this. So with the recent changes, obviously each zone of the armor is now essentially boxier, it's bigger, it's gonna cover you much better in the game, and so armor actually works as it's intended, whereby your side and your left and right plates really do matter quite a lot, and you'll find that now you're actually able to bounce quite a few of the rounds that are coming in that obviously don't have the penetration to go through said plates. When it comes to thinking about which you should be kind of optimizing and which ones you should really be thinking about, you have both the Corand, you've got the Gazelle, all of these really covering a lot of your armor areas that you need to kind of safely be able to do what you need to do, as well as not giving you the worst movement speed, because this is one big thing. So something like the Gazelle gives you less of a movement speed penalty that you get with something like the Corand, and the turn speed is similar as alongside the Ergo as well. So minus 5% when you're using this over the 2% reduction from the Gazelle. And so if you look at the areas covered, of course the Gazelle doesn't have such a good area coverage, but it still has the key areas, and so as long as you can mitigate most of the areas that are commonly going to get you one tap, so things like the thorax, the stomach, things like the throat and the back of the neck, these are kind of the core areas that you really want your armor to actually cover. And because it is now actually added into the game in the correct way that I assume BSG actually wanted it to be previously to what it was before, it's going to cover you much better. So if you can find a good mix of both the like lower movement speed, turn speeds and ergo penalties that you get from using body armor compared to a similar sort of one, then you can really do quite well. But if you're purely after a armor that is going to give you the best results when you do get hit, regardless of your movement, turn speed and ergo, then of course you want to go for the one that covers the most amount of armor or places that you can be hit, as well as the higher armor class that you possibly can on the base actual armor that it is, as well as making sure that you have the best plates that you can in your rigs. Now I've got level 5, but we could put level 6 if we wanted to in this, but for the majority of time level 5 is fine, and pretty much every single armor rig that you're using should at least have level 4, if not level 5, and of course the staple being the level 6 armor, which is what you ultimately want to get. Now when it comes to left and right plates, these are super crucial. They're very, very good for if you do get ambushed from a side, and of course these can save your life. They do have low durability, lower than what you would see with the front and back plates, but they're relatively cheap as well. So if we go to search these, you can typically find similar sort of ones. Now this is a level 5 plate, but you can quite easily buy level 6 plates if we were to go for a link search, and then go down you can see the gear components, the ones that you can actually use, and depending on which one that you're actually looking at, you can get level 6 side plates. Now unfortunately for the Corand, you can't use certain armor plates, so you have to kind of find a good mix. For something like the Gazelle, you can use a variety of different side plates, and this one can actually go up to level 6, which is the level 4 ballistic side plates. It's a bit of a weird one, but you can see level 6 and has the left and right plate, so you can use it in these equipment. So this is kind of what you need to be thinking about now when it comes to the armor profile. And although it sounds very complicated with regards to all of the different things that you have to consider when you're deciding on the armor that you choose, pretty much you want the best coverage for the lowest cost to your abilities, and also making sure that you aren't picking a rig that, although has very, very good frontal plate armor, doesn't cover anywhere else. And so you can see here the slick, anything in the throat / thorax area is just good night. Anything in the arms, anything in the side, you have no armor, and that's exactly what's going to happen when you get into your raids. Things like the Cuirass is a good kind of starting place to actually put in some plates. Of course it is only level 3 to begin with, but when you do put in your level 5 or level 6 plates into the Cuirass, it is okay, it's good, it covers your throat and your thorax and kind of some of the key areas that you need. So anything that does cover around your sort of neck area, this is kind of going to be a decent choice for the most part. That's kind of how you can choose. You can see things like the MMAC, and this thing is of course a plate carrier, and good thing about this one in particular is that you can carry both left and right plates. Now we haven't got any in this, but you can certainly go ahead and click on the link search and you can find yourself some level 6 plates, which are the level 4 as we previously mentioned. And if we go ahead and buy them, they are available for purchase from the traders for significantly less than the ruble cost. But if then we go ahead and find out where these plates have actually gone, which is right up at the top, we come down and we add it into our rig. You just drag and drop it on, and that will now give you a decent amount of side armor. It might not save your life all of the time, but it certainly can help and will potentially ricochet a couple of rounds when you do get hit in those places. So it's kind of what you can do to mitigate the amount of damage you're taking in your raids, albeit this doesn't have any throat protection, but you know, it's kind of down to what you prefer. And of course, if you're using something that you can use as both a rig and armor, if you're going for Red Rebel extracts on PvE, this is a good kind of starting place to think about when it comes to armor plated rigs and just trying to find the best ones available. So when it comes to potential other armors, obviously if you've got the samurai armor, then you can use it. But it's really down to, do you want to take the sacrifice to your movement speed in order to get the really chatted armor with pretty much all throat and every single place that you could possibly think of protection, but of course you're going to have significant downsides, which is that it weighs 20 kilos and you are very, very slow when you use it. So yeah, it's kind of a bit of a mismatch of what you actually want from the game, but ideally you want something that's lightweight, like the Corand, like the Gazelle, like some of the other ones like the Killer Armor, ones that maybe don't have arms but will give you enough movement speed to actually go through the raid as you see fit. Of course, the higher the strength level that you are, the less of an impact this is going to have, as well as the higher the armor level that you do have in the game, the kind of better it's going to be. So you can see you can reduce the movement speed penalty when wearing certain armor when you use that armor. So with that being said, I kind of thought I'd give you a brief explanation as to the armor itself, the kind of ones that I typically use being the Corand, the Gazelle, and I occasionally do use things like the Defender or stuff like this, but primarily ones with throat protection, because there's nothing worse than being one-tapped by a scav in the face or the neck. So with that being said, if you did enjoy this video and you want to see some more, and maybe we'll go into a deep dive on the armor tier list for at least the new changes that we've seen within Tarkov, then let me know whether you want to see a tier list as to the best armor versus the worst armor and everywhere in between. So with that being said, hopefully you enjoyed. Like the video if you did, and I will see you in the next one. Check out the one-tap pistol on screen right here that I absolutely love and adore. It is insanely fun, and you definitely won't want to miss that one. So, goodbye.